we love God. I have no fear of the Creator. You only fear the wrath of God when you're guilty of something. If you're afraid of God, you're probably guilty of something. Okay, so you understand some mindset you develop. So you talk about so go back to the mound builders, the pyramid builders. The mound builders are people who are matriarchal. I mean, you talk about the cultures, the mound building culture. They've been here for continuous occupation for thousands of years. Continuous evidence, continuous occupation. You go into the Ouachita Parish in Louisiana, you will find them digging up stuff, and they'll have layers. The archaeologists go in there and getting layers. So we go down 5,000 years, we see some people here. Then go another 2,000 years, they're still here. And these societies have been occupying the same location over thousands of years. That is the ancient mound building, pyramid building cultures of North America who are scientists. Okay, up there in Cahokia but in Cahokia, there are hundreds of pyramids up there, aren't there? And that one side over 100 pyramids right by Cahokia.
Right. And here is the information about the giants. These are the paper, the microfiche clippings of the different discoveries of giants at the time. It's kind of hard to read because it's like, you know.
But you can see the dates on there. You go to the dates and go find them articles yourself. Published May 4th, 18th, the New York Times. Do the research. I'm a researcher. Right. I collect evidence and I share it with people, and we can not my matter of opinion. This is newspaper articles that I think they have no reason really to kind of alter. But yeah.
Yeah, 1912, 1871. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it was around the year the last.
These are the dates when the articles were published. The people probably left 1,000 years before this. The skeletons they found are far older than the dates of these newspaper articles.
Hey, Mike.
These are the dates when they dug them up and recorded what they found.
Hey, man, you see what your man said?
So the reason why I had said what I said earlier about the nationalist organizations uniting under one banner, not eliminating their distinctiveness, but becoming part and parcel to, you know, the government that was already established for us under Marcus Garvey. You know what I'm saying? And, I think like the Moorish Science Temple should like be part of the legal department, and then the Nawabians probably over cultural or affairs and stuff like that. You know, like you know, every nationalist group got to take a position in that government, and that way all of our paperwork kind of coincides with each other. Because the one thing that we need to do as a people is start a bank account. We bro, we need a treasury. You see what I'm saying? A centralized treasury, and we need to elect a leader and follow his ass like he Jesus.
But you gotta design an agenda and put them in charge of executing the agenda. The personality is the problem. We don't need a personality.
The agenda is food, clothes, shelter, economics, and defense. Like if we don't rally around those principles, like that has to be the rallying cry, because if you do anything else, it's going to create division.
Can I just say this, is that they did this already. So it's not like it can't be done. It's incapable of being done. It's reinventing the wheel that already was we saw what happened with that. So people are doing it. And as you can see, the young man up here, Omar Bey, is saying it's being done. It's just a matter that you don't hear our heroes don't get, they're not going to be necessarily out here because they're too busy doing it to be just out here talking about what they're going to be doing.
But sister, the brother said it right. The brother said we need to have. He said the word militant. You know, the word that militant. We need to have security. Even with the Ouachita Nation, our biggest downfall, we do not have security. So whatever we built up, when they want to, they can come in and outpower us with fire.
Just take it.
So you got to have a military. So watch this. So now, in the spirit of Marcus Garvey, we need to unite not just with the brothers and sisters of the United States, because it's so few of us who are really willing. The whole continent over there is blowing up. I mean, the Sahel, the Alliance of the Sahel Nations, break free from colonialism. So we need to actually form our own state, a state in the diaspora of the world, the global African nation, because Africa will become one giant nation, and we have the Caribbean has its own state.
Yeah,
United
I
States
think
has,
we zone
so
6. African Americans are
yeah,
like zone
yeah.
6.
So that's
So we're included in the
that's the
African
Western
Union,
Union
but
over there. Now we have a
yeah, we're represented in the African Union, but we have not organized ourselves into a body politic, one body politic. If we once we become one body politic,
country.
we'll be able to like do assign treaties with other nations and other corporate bodies. Right now we can't do that because we're like 40 to 60 million individuals. We're not one corporate body.
Well, that's what
We
he's
have
saying. With the Washita
I wrote
Nation
any
actually has a seat
brother.
at the United Nations,
Yeah,
and
I
that's
wrote
what I'm saying.
treaties.
So, you weren't here earlier when he talked about the fact that they have a seat at the United. Let me tell you something. There's more than one. So the Washita have a seat at the United Nations. You know who else has a seat at the United Nations? Oyatunji, the Yoruba village out in South Carolina also had a
Yeah,
seat at the United
yeah.
Nations. So there's things that are being done. There's people that are getting together and they're doing things to move things forward. It's just you don't hear about it, and that's why I
Yeah.
brought the young brother here
Sister
today to
Monica,
talk about what's being done. Because
Sister Monica,
yeah, go ahead.
brother Bay, listen,
Yes, sir.
let him know what Bill Clinton did when the Empress them went to form their own currency and how they robbed the attaché and took the stuff
Oh,
and
they stole the bear bond.
yeah, right. So they was creating their own currency and everything. Tell them about that. You are you muted? Because they need to hear.
You're,
I
you
don't think we need our own currency.
Well, no, no,
but
no.
hold on, Laura, be quiet because he gonna tell you what happened when they try to do one. This was part. This was crazy. What? But you're on mute, Umar. I can't hear you.
Get him off of mute.
No, he's not on mute. He's just I can't hear him. His sound is going is down.
You know,
I don't think he can hear us, and I don't think that
he's talking, but we need to let him know that we can't hear him. But this what really got my attention, how Bill Clinton them went in and did what they did. And see, the thing about that is,
we
I'm
can't
listening,
hear you.
but you can hear me, right?
No, let me do
Yeah,
this. He's talking, but we can't hear him.
right. See, this brother has a well of information. This is why I work with him, and I worked with him over the years, and we share, and we've done platforms together. He's spoken at some of my events, and we have a history together. I've been to the school, and I know he raised bees, and his wife make the best banana bread you want to put in your mouth. I swear. And so they got the whole industry going down there, you know. So try to get his attention.
No, I'm trying to call him right now. Yeah, he's going. He's talking, but we can't hear him. Oh man, we can't hear him.
Maybe you can send him a text telling we can't hear him or something. But that's why I reached out to him and to bring him on to debunk some of the things people are saying. Because if you don't know what these civilizations existed and what was going on and where they are, you know, you'd be like another group that wants to debate. And I tell them we're not here to debate. We're only here to educate and elevate, you know. And that's what we try to do. But yeah, he's on the roll, man.
He's going. I don't know what to do.
You said what?
We can't hear him. He's breaking it down, but we can't hear him.
Yeah, I think that we should focus on the maroon communities that were destroyed right before 1865, because that's evidence that the United States government played a part in the genocide and the destruction of our nation, and they attacked free people in another territory, in a territory that wasn't even theirs. You know what I'm saying? So you know, I mean.
We can't hear you, honey. We can't hear you. Can you hear us? Can you hear? We can't hear you. Hey, we can't. No.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you, but he's
Okay.
steady talking, and we can't hear what he's saying.
He's on the road to think he's breaking it down.
He's breaking it down, and he talking, man.
Yeah.
Well, he's only been talking for 3 minutes, so.
Thank you for calling.
He's going.
He can't get through because he's going to voicemail. Wow.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna just kick him and see if.
food, clothes, shelter, economics, and defense. Those are the only things that we're supposed to be rallying around. The problem with the Nation of Islam and the Moorish Science Temple is that it's Islamic centered, right? And then even when you deal with something like the Black Panther, the same thing. It's like, what if the black person isn't radical, right? You see what I'm saying? Then you lose the person that ain't radical. You know what I mean?
We couldn't hear you the whole time you were talking. You were talking. We couldn't hear you the whole time. We were like, "Hello, you can't hear. We can't hear you."
I can't hear you. So I'm actually off, but I'm looking at the pad. I had the screen on, but now I've been logged off. This is StreamYard.
No, I logged you off because we couldn't hear you, and we were trying to get your attention. I was calling you back to back, and you wasn't answering. So I was like, okay, maybe if I log him off, and maybe he'll.
Okay.
All right, so log back on because we couldn't hear you, honey. We couldn't hear. We want to hear this. We want to hear this. We just missed the whole thing.
Yeah, and I agree. Like that's why I'm working with black farmers here in Louisiana. We got a bunch of black farmers that's raising, so we're working on that, raising our own food. So that's one thing we're working with here in a place called a Waterproof here in Louisiana. And we got right now, we got a little bit over 2,200 acres that we're working with.
And I wanted to say this because Brother Ronald, he said, well, how you always have elders on here. We need to have more young people. But the reason why I bring a lot of the elders on here is because they have the experience. They did this before, right? So they know where we went wrong. They know where the problem was. They know how we got in a trick bag.
Got in this mess. It says elder for counsel and youth for war. So it's our job to help y'all avoid making mistakes that we made. We was young one time and we was very egotistical and we was on fire. And all of a sudden, things went down. So we got to bring our life experience on and let y'all take it, pass the baton to you, take it to the next level. And that's why we're on here now. And I appreciate bringing on elders who was back in the struggle, like myself and others, so y'all can hear our story. Then you can compare the stories and see where we failed at, so you don't make the same mistakes.
Thank you. That's the reason why I bring the elders, because we have so food, clothes, shelter, and defense. We had that with the Black Panther, didn't we?
Yep.
The Black Panther.
That's the reason why that's the reason why they were so successful.
Right, but the thing is but it's also the reason why they also got destroyed, because if you don't understand how you could get infiltrated from the inside, how the government itself will
right.
Trying to say something real quick, Brother Umar.
Yes, dear, we got infiltrated also. I understand the concept.
Yeah, all the black nationalist organizations got infiltrated. Not one of them is exempt. Not one is exempt.
Now,
even the new ones. The new ones that just been created in the past 10 years are all infiltrated.
Well, the thing about it, what's going to happen now, that this group, the Hebrew Israelite for Christ, they're going to be registered down as a terrorist group. And they're
already a terrorist group.
And they're going to go after them just as soon as they get through with this other deportation thing.
They already labeled as black identity extremists.
Yeah, I know, because when I have a friend that keeps me informed on what's going on in up there in Langley, Virginia, and they keep informed everything they're doing, and they're labeling a lot of groups, because if this man get his way, he's going to try to create a thing called martial law. Then that gives him the right to go after these groups, and then he'll stay in office. The whole objective is that he tries to stay in. He might now. I know this may sound crazy, but it's already been predicted that because of his health condition, but the next food take is going to be Vance. So if he can get martial law in, that's going to be a problem. That's what he's working on. And that's for another show. But I want Brother Bay to get back to these pyramids, because that was a.
I want him to finish. I wanted to say what he was just saying for 3 minutes, because He was
I'm
talking
gonna
cat.
step
I
back.
could tell by
Look,
how he was going. He was
I'm,
he was breaking it down. I was like, damn,
yeah,
I can't hear what he's saying.
I'm gonna step back and let my brother have it go. He was on
And
the road.
Laura, once again, I think you're moving or something like that. But every time you move, it sounds like shh, and it's really loud. We got to figure out. So only when you're talking, then unmute. But if you're not talking, mute, because I don't know whether your phone. I don't know what it is. Like, do you have a headpiece in or something like that? Because see, it's the wind. It's like this shaking noise. It
Well,
might
right
be
now you're saying you hear a shaking noise?
no. When you were talking earlier, it was like this, like high pitch. Maybe you have like a earpiece in, and maybe the sound of it rubbing up against the phone, something like that. Is
Mm.
yeah. So it was making a weird noise. So that's why I'm not muting you to be rude. I'm just muting you
Do
because
you hear it now?
no, I don't hear it now. You said it's good now. Every once in a while, I'll hear some wind, but before it was like that sound just right there. It just did it just now.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Whatever that sounded is, it's like a high pitch ching. So yeah. All right. So let's go. I wanted to hear what you were just saying because it was a lot.
Get to refresh where I was. I mean, I'm not sure where I stopped.
We were talking about people. Dang, I forget too. We were talking about like
The infiltration of
Yeah, the infiltration and how they was able to get to stop the anti-shake.
okay. Simply put, the Ouachita Nation was infiltrated as well as the Kingdom of Hawaii. Any indigenous people who went to Geneva, Switzerland, and participated in the all elaboration of indigenous people's rights were attacked. So I know for sure the Kingdom of Hawaii Nation, the king and his wife were attacked, arrested because they got affiliated with the white supremacist, white patriot movement people. The Empress got in trouble because she got affiliated with the Republic of Texas movement. When those people in Texas and the David Koresh and Waco bombed the building down. So we got infiltrated by those organizations and we went down with them. You even hear now people with stories about the Ouachita Nation was a sovereignty movement. Well, the Ouachita Nations would introduce these white patriot people into the concept of sovereignty. Before they never talked about that. So the Empress was profound, and she brought together some of the most extreme black nationalist organizations. I mean, to Farrakhan and the Nuwabians and you name it, the Hebrew Israelites, the Yahweh ben Yahweh people, and she had the Ku Klux Klan, the Southern Baptist leadership people. She had Republic of Texas. She had the militias from Missouri, militias from Michigan, militias from Colorado. She had people all over the country, Europeans who saw that the Ouachita Nation established our sovereign right to existence, and they all tried to counterfeit our material.
I remember that. I remember seeing white people saying they were part of the Washington, and they had the whole thing. So those were infiltrators. They weren't a part of it. They were
exactly the infiltrators. Right. They tried to me. We actually, the Empress had gentlemen bring her to her house one night, like 2 or 3 late night at night. I don't know what time it was in the morning. When he knocked on the door, the police officer gave her a piece of paper, and it was the state police report saying how they suspect some Caucasians moved into Richwood, which was the Empress. The city Empress found it. I got a copy of it. I'm gonna put it in my next book. The copy of the state police report showing how the state police had encountered some white nationalists who moved into Richwood, claimed to be Ouachita, have an Empress, and they tried to impersonate the imperial Ouachita Nation. The only problem was when they had started arresting people, and the judges in Louisiana already knew the Empress of the Ouachita. The only thing to say the Empress of Ouachita, the Empress had been there since the 1970s. She founded her city in 1974. She was the mayor.
That's right.
She ran her term. She got out of office. She went to Washington, D.C. She was with Ronald Reagan. She was with Carter. She came back to Louisiana again and became mayor again for 4 more years. So there are articles of the Empress being in D.C. with Edwin Musk and Meese and other people writing the legislation that's now welfare. If you go look at, oh my God, go look at the 1970s when Nixon was in office. Who wrote that stuff up? How did the Empress suddenly become a mayor of a city in Louisiana? What was she doing before that? She was in D.C. Writing legislation. Watch this. You go and investigate Richard Nixon and Native American laws. Go and see what laws were passed under Nixon administration dealing with indigenous people and their rights. Okay, and you'll find a gentleman in Arizona who was part of exposing to me the artifacts they found in the Grand Canyon and all over Arizona, not just Grand Canyon, all over Arizona, they found artifacts of ancient people of color. So he and the Empress were together, and they worked with just writing legislation. Empress wrote so much legislation that when you go look at the some of the welfare benefit programs, the Empress helped write that stuff back in the early 70s, man. Go in Louisiana anyway, under McKittrick, because the governor McKittrick once again came from the Washita. Understand, the Washita Nation was composed of indigenous people and people with French heritage ties. The Washita, the land rights the Empress got came from a Frenchman from the Spanish king, his uncle or relative. You talk about the Marquis de Maison Rouge had land grants from Spain. If you read those land grants, it clearly says in the land grants, Americans are not allowed to be incorporated to this area of the land. Let me find it. Let me show it. Watch this.
Didn't something like that also happen with the Oyotunji village, where they actually tried to infiltrate them as well?
They did, but
because I heard that there was the government, all the police and stuff like that were already coming, FBI, all type of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing, is that we start these things even in Oklahoma. You talk about like the the Black Wall Street. You put this whole thing together, people are thriving, and then they come in with full-fledged military and just destroy the whole town. Rosewood was another one.
Well,
as brother said, he said we need to be militant. We need to have a security force. The nations had the Air Force. Why we need more than that? And beyond that, we need to have an alliance with other nations who will back us up. We need to be part of the global community of African people of African heritage. Okay.
Right. And see, the United Nations, that's what they were doing with Oyotunji, because if I show.
There it is.
Let me
see.
Okay. The Washita Nation is based on the Empress and her research of her family. So the Empress of the Washita in the 1790s had a son with the Marquis de Maison Rouge. The son name was Henry Turner. And Henry Turner inherited Marquis de Maison Rouge's land grants. So the Empress and her family in June 19th, not Juneteenth, June 19th, 1848, the Turner family, the Washita family, won a lawsuit that affirmed that the land grant from Marquis de Maison Rouge, who had a son by the Empress of the Washita then, Henry Turner, that land grant was valid. Let me find this thing here where it tells you can't have Americans on it. I hope it's in this somewhere. Come on, please, find it real quick. It's in the land grant. It tells Marquis de Maison you cannot admit or allow Americans. Here we go right here. Let me see. Here we go. So it talks about Marquis de Maison Rouge. Let me get to this page. I don't waste your time here. Ooh, lynch.
Are you okay?
Let me see here.
Oh, and just so you know, this is a picture of the king of Oyotunji, and these are the different African names. This is, I think, the guy from Ghana. I think this is Senegal. This is Nigeria, and then this is the chief of Oyotunji. And
Does
the
Babatunde
lady.
Olatunji? Does Babatunde Olatunji?
Yes.
No, this is Kabiesi. He's in the middle. He's in the middle. He got killed last year. He's in the middle.
But they're at the United Nations right here. This is them at the United Nations, and these are all the African nations that they're getting behind them. So they're doing it, but then he got killed, and that's very ironic that he ended up getting killed. That was crazy.
Right now we have Brother Ibrahim Traore over in Burkina Faso, who's leading the charge by showing an example of how you should treat your people. So I'm rooting for that brother. I hope I can go over there and teach and help them one day. But that's the kind of thing we'll be doing. We are actually working together to build community to help everybody out. Come on, I can't. Okay, maybe that's not in here.
Just take your time, bro. Take your time.
It's part of the lawsuit. Part of the land grant.
Yeah, I think you can pull up what Henry Turner versus the United States or something. When they sued him.
Yes, exactly. It's in that book you pulled up.
Yeah, you can go on and pull it up.
Yeah. So you know, Louisiana Purchase, the land that was in say Baton Rouge, it was not part of Louisiana Purchase. The land that was in Monroe, Louisiana, that was not part of Louisiana Purchase. If you go and get the document called the Convention between the French Republic and the United States, it clearly states that it only includes certain sections of land, because the whole purpose of the Louisiana Purchase was for the United States was to secure port rights in New Orleans, because you have Americans up in St. Louis and upriver of New Orleans and Louisiana, trying to get out the Mississippi River to the Gulf of Mexico. And they'll bring their ships down into Louisiana under Spanish rule and get straight up hijacked. So they were trying to buy rights to have the port of Louisiana or the port of New Orleans. So Napoleon needed to get out of here. Napoleon was getting beat up in Haiti. He needed some cash. And if you understand, go read the history of the Louisiana Purchase. That $15 million was not given to Napoleon by the United States. Watch this now. You ever heard of Barclay Bank?
No.
Barclay Bank, they own the Barclays Center in Brooklyn.
Right.
They financed the $15 million and gave Napoleon. The United States didn't have the money to give him. And Jefferson told these people that we have no authority in the Constitution to spend money buying land. So the Barclay Bank folded that loan to him, and Napoleon took that money and went and just wrecked Europe. Okay, didn't he? And if you go, so that's in it. Go read the Emperor's book. Emperor has a section of her book talking about Louisiana Purchase, and it's letters of Jefferson writing to Congress and writing to other Secretary of State people. So that book, The Return of the Ancient One, is full of great documentation.
Yeah.
Validate stuff such as this. And this book here is called let me see what the book here is called. Can you see this? This is called The Marquis de Maison Rouge, the Baron, the Bastrop, and Colonel Abraham Morehouse, the three Washita Valley soldiers of fortune, the Maison Rouge and Bastrop Spanish land grants. Those two land grants are tracts of land that were not part of Louisiana Purchase. And with those land grants, you can look them up. They're both land grants. You can find them in the congressional record because the Congress had to approve all that stuff. But in those land grants, they're telling you are not to allow or to admit any Americans to the lands of these grants, because that land was supposed to be for the French nobility. And during the French Revolution, they were cutting off the heads of the French nobility. They needed somewhere to run and hide to. So the French nobility, one thing they got was this Maison Rouge and Bastrop land grant. Baron de Bastrop, the same gentleman, Spanish knight who went over to Texas and helped the Texas Revolution also. The Texas state of Texas form itself. Okay. So there's a place called Bastrop, Texas. There's a place called Bastrop, Louisiana, named for Baron de Bastrop. And Bastrop, Louisiana is actually located on the Baron de Bastrop land grant just north of Marquis de Maison Rouge. Now, with that being said, if you read through the Empress's book, there's a part where Baron de Bastrop was writing a letter to the governor of Spanish Louisiana. His name was Carondelet, Colonel Carondelet. Okay, he's telling Carondelet, you gave me this land up here in Washita, and it's overrun with these ancient people, and I don't want to disturb them, so give me some more land. He's talking about a place called Bayou de Seared. And this is also published in the book, but so Baron de Bastrop is telling the governor of Spain, or the Spanish governor of Louisiana, you gave me this land with these ancient people, not Indians, ancient people. If you go look at a map that I found in the Library of Congress, you show you where they have a place called Fort Miro. Fort Miro is the Spanish origin of the city of Monroe. Many people think Monroe comes from the name of President Monroe in the 1820s, but the city Monroe gets its name from Fort Miro, M-I-R-O. Fort Miro was for a Spanish general name. I think his name was Stephen Miro. He was the first one in the Washita area, in the Monroe area. And on the same map you see Fort Miro, you see a place called Washita along the Bayou de Seared, and that's the location where Baron de Bastrop is saying this place is overrun with these ancient people. These look like he called them buffalo people, big dreadlocks. You got buffalo people in Monroe area, and I need some more land. I don't want to disturb them. I ain't messing with them, because that location on that map is now today the location of the University of Louisiana at Monroe. The same location on Bayou de Seared is now, because 1,000 years ago it was cleared off for a palace. You had an ancient city there called Washita, spelled with 2 T's. And that map is available in the Library of Congress right now. I almost took it, but I left it there. I took pictures of it and left it there so it could be there. Okay, I didn't steal the map. Okay, but go to the Library of Congress. The map, I was so tempted. Oh my God, this is amazing. But I had to leave it there, so it's evidence. I took my copies of it. I have a library. I have a reader's card for the Library of Congress to go out into the map rooms. I got those pictures of those maps. I have a picture of it in my book. So there's evidence if you go do the research. I'm a researcher. That's what I do. So I dug it up. So
So
I have a site called Ask Brother Umar. I have a lot of answers, a lot of questions. So, but
So is this the Empress's book that you're talking about, where all this information is at?
Yeah, this is my book. This is We of the Watchtower. You showed the Empress book earlier. We had Return of the Ancient with that gray covered book. That is the Empress book full of all kind of documentation. This is We of the Watchtower. That book you showed contains the map showing Fort Muro and the city of Washita, the ancient palace where the Empress lived in. If you look inside the Empress book, there's a newspaper article where they found the casket of the Empress from back in at the time of the French Revolution. The Empress who married Marquis de Maison Rouge had a site right there near Bayou de Sire, near Washita, and they found this casket, and they said the casket was made out of like Egyptian metal. Egyptian. It's in the Empress book. I don't find a picture of that too, but it's about an Egyptian casket found in Monroe near Bayou de Sire. It was in the exact location of the Washita village. Okay, Cypress Point.
and there's a street called Desire Street right there in Monroe, over by ULM.
It's the Sire. It's the Sire Bayou. The bayou runs
One right next to it, don't it? Yeah.
It runs right to the Washita River. Now, if you go look at ancient maps,
yeah.
brother, if you go to ancient maps of the Monroe area, you're gonna find it right where Bayou de Sire goes into the Washita River. You know, joins the Washita River. Right there on the north shore, they found two ancient mounds, giant pyramids, right there. Bayou de Sire was going into the river as a marker.
Yeah. Because we was over the other day. So, and that's the beauty of here. That's the beauty of being in where I live in Tallulah, near the mounds. I go to these places. I'm over there. I've been to Richwood and all this, that. And if I say that, you know, I'm red in heart. And we got mounds right here in Tallulah.
Yes, you sure do.
We have mounds right here in Tallulah, and you know, you came and spoke for us at the Milliken Bend memorial. Commemoration, and
Yes,
that's why I told you I want you to come on, because anybody know about these mounds, you do.
But I have pictures of your pyramids. They're pyramids in Tallulah, Madison Parish, on my website. If you go to the pyramids of America, you go see those. They're actually drawn by the what they call it, the civil engineers, the military.
Right?
Yeah. They're aerial pictures of the pyramids, huge, beautiful pyramids up there near Tallulah.
Yeah.
They call it Madison Parish.
Right.
Mound City.
On Mississippi and all that. It's all over there. Yeah. And one thing don't realize that it was red here in Madison. There you go.
Roll up there. See, this is a mound city up in North Louisiana. We call it Olmeca. The Europeans call it Poverty Point. But see that bird-shaped mound, 700 foot tall, pointing straight to the east, going from the east, from the west, flying from the east, flying to the west. Okay.
Why did they call it Poverty Point? What was the reason behind that?
There was a plantation called Poverty Point near here. But in history, Poverty Point was the name of this is supposed to be the oldest city in America. When they first found Olmeca, they called Poverty Point the oldest city in America. They found sites older than that since then. But also the very first location that the French came into Louisiana, Iberville, down near New Orleans, was a place called Poverty Point. There's a place called Poverty Point south of New Orleans. So the original Poverty Point was the name of the very first French settlement in the state of Louisiana as we know it today. And that place, like 36 miles south of New Orleans, it flooded, and eventually those French people moved into the city of New Orleans. The Washoe people down there south of New Orleans helped the French settlers move from Poverty Point near a place called Phoenix, Louisiana, up to where to present day New Orleans is.
So if you look at this picture, would you say that this is a human being and that's how big this thing is?
Well, I stood on top of here. I stood on top of this mound. This used to be covered with trees. So go up a little bit more. See the picture up low there? It used to be covered with trees like that, and they took all the trees off to expedite erosion. Go down a little bit further, you can see another picture with it cut from someone on top of it. This is the G. She is on top of that. So see that picture. Go back to the picture that says, "Oh, stop right there." See the picture. Here's Sister Gia on that mound. This is before they cut the trees off. The picture you stopped on initially showed it being they shaved all the trees off to cause the speed of the erosion of the mound. For thousands of years, the mound was covered with trees. Then when the emperor started talking about this was 1995, we were at the mound. After the emperor started talking about this site, they mowed all the trees down, speed of erosion. Now, if you go down further, the picture of the Madison Parish Mounds near, right here, see this? That's Madison Parish. That's Tallulah.
Yeah.
That's an aerial view of some pyramids in Louisiana. See the side view?
Yeah.
Is that amazing?
It says Madison Parish, Louisiana, Ancient Mound.
Is that amazing, brother? That's some high science.
Yeah.
That's no joke there. That's an aerial view of some pyramids. You can go on top and put a ramp on there, put a house on top of there. They're huge.
Mm.
And this is why I live at. Matter of fact, Madam C.J. Walker, her home is right down the street here in Delta.
Yep.
So do they have a function? Like, do they know what the function of those pyramids were?
That's what we're working on now.
We're working on now. Since the first day they acknowledged they exist for the longest time, even though this image exists, there are several military drawn images of mound sites all over the country, up in Ohio, Kentucky, but they hide them all. They're not going to publish it for the public. No, what is called the Silver? It's called the engine.
I heard that there were some mounds they actually have.
The Corps of Engineers.
They have like gates around it. You can't even get into it. They have gates around the mound where you can't actually access the mound, but it's like
and some of my folks do not trespass.
You know what you're saying right now? For the past forever, until maybe the last 2 or 3 years, you could go to Louisiana State University, LSU campus, and climb on top of the mounds and slide down the mounds and play on the mounds. But recently they put fences around there and blocked the public from touching them. But I remember back in 2016 when these people came in and harassed us, I took a gentleman there, and you could actually climb on the mound 10 years ago. But now they have most of the mounds, thankfully, have been protected. And you can't just climb on there and wear them out, because students on LSU campus were literally sliding down and playing on them, not understanding that the mounds on LSU campus are 5,000 years old. So here's an artist rendition of those pyramids near Tallulah. Look at that.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I was there in 2017. That's where they put the fence up. They were sitting on top of the mound studying. I told them get off those mounds. They didn't realize they were sacred mounds, and we got into a discussion. And matter of fact, it's a plaque there at LSU said that this mound is older than the pyramids of Egypt. It's a plaque. It's a plaque. And I got you. So I said, don't tell me. I know, because LSU is built on one of the mounds.
The whole LSU campus was once covered with mounds. Matter of fact, that whole ridge from LSU further south all the way up into what they call Natchez was covered with pyramids. I mean, it's covered. I mean, the city of Baton Rouge, I'm telling you not only with a covered pyramid, but you have some of the oldest ones of recorded record. The ones here in Louisiana are some of the oldest pyramids in the world. But our pyramids are made of earth, not made of stone.
A matter of fact, the writer says, he quoted in, I think it's in one part of the Bible, said that the Most High says, build me earthen mounds that not made of man's tools, but by hands. And they took that part out of the Bible.
Oh, it's in there, brother. You go find the book Exodus where they had the 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
Exodus 20, 1 through 10. Go down to instead of Exodus 1 through 10, go to 20. In the same page, you find the 10 Commandments, which actually were stolen from the Ma'at, the 10th of Ma'at. You will find where God, instead of saying thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery, whatever, it's where he says, thou shalt build altars of earth for worship and burnt sacrifice.
Exactly.
So that's in the Bible. It's amazing. People can't believe it, but it's in there.
Well, you know, they found another Bible, 1884, in the introduction. It talks about the mound builders in that Bible. 1884. There's a Bible read in the introduction. It talks about the mounds and about the mound builders, and it mentioned about the same thing we're talking about in the 1884 Bible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
If you understand the word mound is an indigenous word, if you go look at
make altars of earth for me and sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, your sheep, your goat, and your cow, where I cause my name to be honored, I will come and bless you. So that's why a lot of them was there, Sister Monica.
Make an altar of earth. See that? Stop right there. Make an altar of earth and sacrifice them. What are the mounds? Altars of earth, brother.
Altars of earth. That's what it was. Yeah. I appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anybody who reads the Torah
Hmm.
considers those to be a Hebrew, and they use the Pentateuch or the 5 books of Moses, whatever name they use for the book. This is in there. This is on
Yeah.
the same chapter with the 10 Commandments.
Right.
Make an
Exodus.
altar.
Yeah.
It did not say thou shalt not. It said thou shalt make an
Exactly.
altar of earth in the
And it
English
goes.
version.
It said, and you will not defile it with your tools on it, and do not
Exactly.
go upon it,
Earth.
my altar on steps. Your what is that? Private parts may be exposed. So you know.
But what did they do? They put steps on the top of them. They put it on. Didn't
So
they put?
In,
they defy
so,
all of that. They
yeah.
defy all of that.
So at Al Mecca, they built steps out of like wooden rails, like railroad. And the Empress would tell us, do not walk on the steps, walk up in the grass. When we would climb the mound with the Empress, she would tell us, don't walk. See here, this is in Moundville in Tuscaloosa. The Europeans came to put those steps on there. We had ramps.
Right.
You go look at the mounds in Etowah in north of Atlanta. They had ramps going up and down the side. That's in California. That's near Hollywood. Listen here, look at this. Look at this map. 10,000 years old. It says this is in Mississippi. It says the village site was occupied as early as 8,000 BC. That is posted on the side of the road for people to come and see. 8,000 BC, really? Occupied 10,000 years ago? You can't touch
Hey, Monica. Monica,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start something. And when was Egypt founded? 2500 BC?
Yeah, and Adam and Eve was 4004 BC.
4004 BC. So, you know, they was arguing on the other channel that night. And homeboy said, man, you see what I'm talking about?
Right. We got mounds of the 800 AD.
Yeah, you know.
That's
8,000 BC. That's before the common era.
That says 8,000 BC.
BC. Before the common era. And you count down.
Zoom in. That says 8,000 BC. I've been there. I took that picture myself.
Because that means it's 4,000 years older than the Adam and Eve story.
Exactly. Twice the age of Adam and Eve.
Yeah, it says 8,000 BC, guys.
Yeah. So
they say by hunters they're gonna always make them hunter gatherers.
Scroll up higher, you can see who made the sign.
Who stayed only long enough to prepare their kill from the time of Christ to 1000 AD.
We can't see our pictures are blocking the bottom of the sign. We can't see the bottom of it. So scroll up a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
So just scroll up and see. We can see the bottom of this. Yeah, there you go.
Let me see. Hold on, real quick.
So that's just evidence. Yeah. So just once again, I try to come with I call it empirical evidence, something you can see for yourself, not something you read on the internet or TikTok told you. You want to get out there on yourself and do the primary research. Okay. But they say this is the United States Department of the Interior, 8,000 BC. How do we know this? How do they know that? They did the radiocarbon dating of the site. Not only this site, there are several sites in Mississippi. This is in Tupelo, Mississippi, along something called the Natchez Trace. You go to the beginning of Natchez Trace, it's something called the Emerald Mound. That might be the Emerald Mound. They call it the Mother Mound. Huge. Well, this pyramid here is small. That pyramid had the size of 4 or 5 football fields with additional pyramids on top of it. So the evidence of pyramid building culture in America is not hidden. It's just not discussed. But if you go to any state, go to Florida, Florida is full of ancient mound sites. Some of the mounds are made out of shells, like they call them mittens. The base of them are just a bunch of seashells stacked up. You know, if you go up into Michigan, there are mound sites. All of the city of Detroit was known as Mound City. You go into a place like Iowa, you'll find one park where you find over 200 earthworks, some of them in the shapes of elephants and prehistoric animals. So the evidence of mound building is all over the place. You got to just look for them. Out in California, I'm from LA. Encino's out in the valley, by just east west of Hollywood. You have the Encino Mound, okay. Angel Mound. I can look at the map here. All over the United States, including all over the East Coast and West Coast. Up in Washington State, you have mounds up there. Oregon, Arizona, you find all kinds of different mound sites there. Texas, you have a lot of mounds in Texas. One called the Cato Mound, like 4,000 BC. You look up Cato Mounds in Texas. once again, 4,000 to 5,000 BC, 6,000-year-old sites in here. And at the bottom of this, you see that list at the bottom of this map? Those are the pyramid sites in Mississippi. That one state, like there's so many I couldn't put them on here.
Yeah.
Over on the side, see the ones in Florida. There's so many I couldn't put them on there. And
do you think they might have lived in these mounds, or do you think they might have just been
they had civilization that lived around those mounds?
Yes, those in the same mound site you have in the United States, they're down in Mexico and Peru. You go look at Peru, there's a place called Corral or Norte Chico, the same circular pavilions. They have the mounds surrounded with a plaza and people's homes. Cahokia is the same thing. The same thing in Cahokia up in Illinois, Missouri, near St. Louis. You have down in Mexico. You have down in Central America. The people we call the Omic or the Chi people. Like we call people, we were taught to call them the Omics. Okay, the Omic with the big African helmets down in Mexico. The original name of that people are the Chi people. X-I.
Chi, yeah. That's when I first ran into them.
And so Chi is the original name of all indigenous people. If you go to the United States and look at an Indian tribe, the Wachita, the Apache, the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, that Cha syllable is a root word. Cha and Mu are root words for, and it literally means the home or the place or your home or your place. Cha, Chi. So the Chickasaw, the Cherokee, Apache, name some more tribes with Chi in there. So Chi is a root word. Look at the word Mexico. In the middle of the word Mexico, you have XI.
So Cherokee?
Chi. Chi is a syllable that means indigenous people. The technical, what you call the original people were known as the Chi. Chi is a root syllable for most tribes. You go look at Chi, Cha, Cho, that Cha. Because really, because before you had language, you had something called tone and music and ch and wa and ma and mu. All those tones had some significance and meaning. So I
wanted to talk about like this whole thing.
Like
when
Chicago?
it really it goes, the Washita Nation comes under investigation. This is in 1999.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the Southern Poverty Law Center.
And it says that Her Highness explains, I was kicked out of my town, then the center rolled up my head like a crown.
Well, this article is written out of context. It was written, I remember reading it when it first came out, by that time I left the Washington Nation. But this information has been infiltrated by, look what it says here. Around the country, people have been jailed for using Washington license plates and driver license. People start counterfeiting our stuff. I left in 97 when they took over. Although charges were ultimately dropped, the Empress, then going by her married name, was indicted in 84 for the alleged embezzlement of $150,000. She was indicted, but she didn't embezzle any money. It's fake. Listen, they say she's indicted for embezzling money that never showed up. She didn't have money. So it's all propaganda and lies to discredit the system. Go do some more research. There's an article written by a reporter from the Times-Picayune to clarify all this stuff in here. See this? The Republic of Texas. See the Republic of Texas? Those white separatist groups came into Washington. So it wasn't a Washington. These groups came in, and we went down with them. That's why I left. I was gone. I couldn't get involved. I told them, I can't do it. They can't be in charge of me.
Matter of fact, if I may interject here, a lot of my friends in Texas went to jail because they got that group. The guy in Dallas, a lot of them went to jail, and I was around at the time because one of the guys, Backers Cleaners, he went to jail because they got money.
He went to jail. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, so I'm there. Matter of fact, I was a part of the whole thing.
Wow.
So remember, you had these white supremacists coming and trying to become part of the Washington Nation, have the Washington Nation give them legitimacy. They recognized the significance of Empress going to the United Nations and achieving recognition as an indigenous sovereign people. So these Europeans came in and tried to join in. This they have right here. We had our own passports, driver's license, insurance company, our own food. We were independent. White folks want to join us. So here, the Europeans who call themselves the Patriot Movement. trying to get out of the United States government. We don't like Bill Clinton. You know, after 12 years of Ronald Reagan and Bush, now Clinton shows up. Clinton loves black people. He playing the saxophone with Arsenio Hall. So the staunch white supremacists wasn't going for that. They started the anti movement. Look, it says using something called the Sanctuary Christian Resource Center. What is that? What they do with me?
Right. What is that?
See, look what it says. Read that. It says using something called the Sanctuary Christian Resource Center as an agent, Washington Nation had sold a corporate coin of dubious common law product. Come on now, who's selling common law products? Is that Washington Nation or some people using us as a sheepskin to cover their evil stuff? Look at it. Registered, they have turned up in Arizona, California, Colorado, Kansas, Louisiana. I ain't seen it for Nebraska, New Mexico. That is not the Washington Nation. That's some white folks using us as a cover. Okay. Yeah, we had our own birth certificates. We had our own ID cards. They came in and started counterfeiting stuff. The attorneys generals from the state of Colorado and Utah came to the and Nevada, Colorado and Nevada came to Louisiana to the Empress, met with the sheriff. You can verify it, and asked to talk to the Empress about the counterfeiting of Washington documentation. We cannot control it. We cannot control white people going over in Missouri, Washington, going to Missouri, make their own Washington plates, their own Washington identification, and then use the vehicles to do drug running and gun running. So the police are pulling over people with Washington tags that clearly weren't connected to us. They had counterfeit versions of our stuff. So here you have this organization, the Southern Poverty Leadership, Southern Poverty Center they got down there? Law Center.
Right.
Total propaganda. Go investigate the author of these stories.
Oh, the name of the group.
Show me this story. Go and see the author of the story. There's another story that came out in 2016 when the Russians and the white supremacists became united. Because when Trump became when the political thing switched in 2012, when Obama won his second election, all white power lost their mind.
Yeah.
Okay. How we have a Negro so you understand the white power faction in the United States united with the globally with Hungary, with all the white power moves around the world. That's what's going on right now. The right wing movement around the world. That began in 2016. At that point, the white supremacists tried to take over the Washington Nation, tried to dump us and to get rid of us. And they left us. In 2016, all the white nationalists who claimed to be Washington moved over to MAGA. In 2016, all these claiming to be part of the war. Look at this. Originally, these ideas were propounded by the Posse Comitatus, a violent, racist, anti-Semitic, anti-tech. That's not the Washington Nation. These people came in and hijacked the Washington Nation. Can you see that?
Wow.
Another aspect of common law used by some Washington citizens.
So you start this. So you guys start this group as a thing because you find out the information, his story about like this a Native American. And get the freedom, get the sovereignty, and then all of a sudden you have what? How did the white people actually join the group? Like, was it because everybody was accepting everyone? Like, how did they get involved?
That's a very good question, Don. Because as I say, I can trace my blood family back to Washington, back to the indigenous people. My even today, half my family have their Cherokee Nation card because my family was in Indian Territory, what they call Oklahoma, before the Trail of Tears. We've always been there. But these Europeans came to the Empress. I said, the Empress she grew up a Baptist sister in the South, Baptist church in the South. So when these Christians, white Christians came to her, these same Christian nationalists, patriot movement, MAGA people came to the Empress back in the 1990s. She said, okay, Brother Umar, this white man said he has 1/32 Native American blood. We are the Washita. We are the oldest people. Every tribe in the land comes out to Washita. If you go look at the United States on a map and see what a Washita is, all of the tribes came out of the Washita. If you go look at the Trail of Tears, when Jackson moved all the tribes out of Georgia, out of South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, where did he move them to? He moved them to the Washita. Go look at the map. I can't make this up. Where the Trail of Tears in the Washita. They took them right out of Florida, out of Louisiana, out of Alabama, marched them right into the Washita Forest, through the Washita Mountains, into what they call Indian Territory. Look it up. They brought all the natives. When they took the natives from up in North Dakota, the Sioux, the Fox, the Sacs, brought them all down to the Washita, to call it no man's land. the woman's land, the empress land, the matriarchal land. Okay. So understand when you talk about the Watchtower, we are the root. So these Europeans found out the Watchtower got our recognition. We had our own passports, our own driver's permits. And once again, other Native American nations had their own passports too, their own driver permits also. If you go out to reservations, they have their own tribal governments. So the Watchtower set up our own tribal government. It was like we were not a sovereignty movement. We were just another tribal government, but we were not recognized by the Department of Interior. So you see the article there. It's another article that came out after during the Trump's election when they tried to connect the Watchtower to every negative entity in America. When the white supremacists left the Watchtower Nation, no longer being Watchtower citizens, and they gave up all their stuff and they joined the MAGA movement, they tried to sabotage it and tried to get me killed.
What?
They had their back into my house to interview me. So a lot of stuff went down here, man, in the Watchtower in here. So I was on the verge of getting swept up, but they had anyway. That's another story there.
So this is the anti-defamation league. So you also had the Jewish people against you guys.
Yeah.
That's who owns the Southern Poverty Law Center. They the same people. See that brother right there? They try to say that this go back what they did. This is when Trump became elected. Trump started his campaign. What's the date of this article? When the white supremacists left, when the white supremacists left the Watchtower and joined with the Russians. See that?
2016. What
happened then? That case here is when this guy here came in, working with what they call the FBI sting thing. There's some Negroes calling themselves Watchtower over in North Carolina, and he's probably got some ID from the Watchtower. Came to Baton Rouge and killed three police officers, and said he was connected to me. So they came to me, and the lady came in, the agent came in and asked me, well, we got evidence that you were working with this guy who killed the police, right? I said, prove it, right? And she found out that it was just propaganda. It wasn't me. It was a guy in South Carolina named Umar Bey, who he worked with. So they try to tie me and everybody. If you read the article, they try to tie me, the Nation of Islam, name all the negative stuff you can name, any boogeyman, dog with you can call. They try to tie us to and try to defame the Watchtower because now these Europeans are now leaving the Watchtower and going to the Eastern European, Russian, Soviet, whatever you want to call it, the pro-Putin white people, okay, left the Watchtower Nation and went with Trump. So this was when the white sovereignty, since 2009, the sovereign citizens movement had experienced a major resurgence, including among African Americans, both Moorish and non-Moorish citizens. See that? That's when as I say, the emperors was able to pull together the Moorish Science Temple, the Nation of Islam, and the far right wing people. So with oh my God, under the empress's I guess her watch, she united the black and the white, the extremists. So now we have these Moorish people trying to be like white sovereign people. Okay, they lost their freaking minds.
And they were going into the courthouse. I remember this whole thing. Yeah, if you go to the courthouse and you gotta say this, and then it made almost a joke out of, and then of the whole thing. Like, yeah, if you say this and you say that, then they can't blah 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 blah. And so but it says here most sovereign citizens are still white.
Or what? Most
sovereign citizens. Let me zoom in.
That's a movement. So see that. So that whole movement was the Moors. I almost say nothing bad, but the Moors come and say, okay, here's what we can get over. We're gonna get their paperwork. So you got Moors who have indigenous. Well, okay, all the Moors things, but the Watchtower Moors, we are indigenous. We don't need sovereign citizenship. We are sovereign. We are a sovereign nation. But the sovereign. So here, the Moors sovereign citizen. They don't want to be. Oh, how about this? The Moors do not want to be under a woman. The empress is a woman. So I saw that some Moors, especially from the East Coast, New York, and over there, we're not going to be under a woman. We're going to form our own stuff. So we are a matriarchal society, and the Moorish Science Temple, I guess, is patriarchal in its ideology and value. So a lot of Moors I saw rejected the concept of a woman being in charge. I even saw one group change their name from Moorish Science. They called the Moorish Circles of Mothers and Sons. They came down, saw the empress, and next year they came out the Moorish Circle of Brothers and Fathers or something. They took the mother out of it. Like, how do you take the mother out your name? Come on, how do you take your mom out your name, gentlemen? But that was
Right.
a movement. So you have here, I've never seen it before. It says key attributes of the Moorish sovereign citizen movement is that the Negroes trying to find a paperwork way to get over on the system. That's to me. They trying to, yeah. So the Moorish Science Temple is a very honorable organization before the image of the Watchtower came around. After that, and the Moors got exposed to those white nationalists and their ideology, you have all these people with all this paperwork talking about, we sovereign, but we Moors, but we this. They just convoluted all that nonsense. It's a convolution of the white nationalists trying to be free from the federal government and the Negroes trying to be free from the federal government, and they're using the indigenous authority and validity of the Watchtower Nation as their cover. But they still got their own agenda. They were doing that stuff before they found the Watchtower Nation. And the Moors been around for thousands years, but for a long time, almost 100 years now. And when I grew up, I knew about the Moorish Science Temple, right? And they were on the East Coast, they're in Los Angeles, and very honorable, wore ties, wore suits, wore their fez, were noble. But and I say in the past few years, I just don't feel that the new version of the Moorish Science Temple upholds that high level of dignity and honor, diplomacy, and just respect that was part of the Moorish Science Temple when I grew up. The new guys who claim to be Moors are more leaning to the side of this sovereign citizen mindset and ideology. They don't go back to the ancient ideology of the Moors when I was growing up. Since the 90s, the Empress had the Moors unite with the sovereign citizen group. You just saw it. I'm so thank you for showing me that. I see. I guess in retrospect, what happened? The Moors came down. You had I remember so many times they were like all these pockets of people in a meeting. Empress had 2 meetings a year. Every year we had a meeting on January 8th on the birthday of Noble Drew Ali, and in June, twice a year, and it'd be thousands of people going out to the Watchtower. And Empress have a conference. They come pay their fee, and they'll just have a time to go and coalesce and meet and talk and eat, break bread. Nobody greens, cornbread, yams for food. Empress always had soul food. And you had people of all lights. You had people from Hollywood, people from Korea, all over the world. After we returned from Geneva, Switzerland, United Nations recognition, people from all over the world came to us. Even in Geneva, when I was at the table waiting to give my speech, we had Brother Jamal Il, who was the Minister of Information for the Watchtower Nation. He spoke Chinese, Arabic. He spoke all these languages. And you had people from all over the world come and say, we recognize you, we honor you, we respect you, we want to help you guys out. So Jamal made contact with people. Well, I couldn't move from my seat. So we were in the United Nations. We were very serious. I stayed there for 2 years. I was actually studying and getting one of my postdoctorate degrees over there in humanitarian law. So I worked in the library, translating in the UN library for all these different indigenous people who could not read, couldn't use a computer. I was teaching people from Japan, indigenous people from Japan, darker than me, how to use a computer. Indigenous people from Africa, from Kenya. Okay, they got tribes in Africa who have been treated improperly too. So I met indigenous people all over the world when I was in the United Nations. And even now, if you go look at the letter, I sent some information to the UN, and it is on permanent file in the United Nations library right now. Stuff I wrote about the Watchtower Nation. The stuff I wrote about the Watchtower Nation led to them declaring us to be the oldest indigenous people on Earth, having found mounds dating back 10,000 years old. And we have evidence. Not only did you find some 10,000-year-old mound, evidence of continuous occupation. But brother, if you go up to Monroe and drive up Interstate 165, Highway 165, you go to a place called Frenchman's Bend. Okay.
Yeah.
Frenchman's Bend is a very exclusive neighborhood with a golf course, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you approach it, there's going to be a sign that says Frenchman's Bend continues occupation for more than 6,000 years. Okay. Inside Frenchman's Bend, you're going to find evidence of these pyramids that date back 6,000 years old. So right there, I think it's still Watchtower Parish. It might be a Morehouse.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, still, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so the evidence there. The evidence of Watchtower Parish being the site of some of the oldest communities in America is without question. What does it say? See, look, let me read this. Like traditional sovereign citizens, Moorish sovereign citizens are heavily reliant upon sovereign gurus who come up with that promote the movement, ideas, and tactics. Some prominent Moorish sovereign gurus include Taj Tariq, Abdul Ali, Queen, who? I don't know none of these people. And Washington National figures like Wendy. See this Washington Nation figures. Wendy Washington is the Empress granddaughter. Frederick Joe Washington is the Empress grandson, her son. Many they don't have my name, but I guess I'm on the top up there, right? So this piece right here was the flushing of the Washita from the I guess what do you call it, the toolbox of the white nationalists. This one the white sovereignty said, okay, we done the Washita, let's dump this on them, make them look bad, and they try to run away into the MAGA movement. Okay, that article right there, that July 2016 article was when the MAGAs. That's after Trump won the primary. Go see when Trump won the primary and the day of that article. Once Trump won the primary, the Russians bought into him. You know, Putin was on the side, and all of the so-called white nationalists who were down with the Washita flipped over to the MAGA. Empress son.
Yeah.
They tried to blame they brought the brother here to Baton Rouge and tried to blame me for being his business partner. I almost got killed, man. My wife was there videotaping with the same iPad I'm on now. My wife had that day, 10 years ago, right? The same iPad I had that she videotaped the agent interviewing me, the FBI agent interviewing me in our museum. And fortunately, when she came to interview me, we had a big display about the Washita. She just read through the thing. She read the article. As I said, the article written by a journalist out of New Orleans in a Times-Picayune Advocate paper. When he wrote the article, after he wrote the article, they fired him and destroyed him because he wrote a positive article that told a story about the Washita Nation and the Empress and all the stuff she did. And when he wrote the article, he lost his job. He never got another job again in journalism.
Was this the article? Because it looks like they interviewed.
This article here is like 2016. I'm talking about an article from 1980s, talking about the Empress of Washita. Article 1990s. About 30, 40 years ago article. This new stuff is a bunch of propaganda. Most of the internet is all propaganda. It's fabricated, you know, it's whitewashed. It's no good. So the Anti-Defamation League considered the Washington Nation an extremist movement. Washington denied that his organization is a hate group because they're saying that the white supremacists who try to call themselves Washington Nation are anti-defamation. The Washita themselves consider themselves to be part of the tribes of Israel. If you go look at my book, it talks about us being the tribe of Shabbat or the tribe of the lost tribes of the people of Israel, one of the lost tribes. So how we anti-Semitic? But
he says that he says that the guy that didn't just kill white people, he killed a black cop. So how could he be related?
Exactly, dear. I'm telling you, and the black cop. I knew the black cop that killed the freaking Moor. That's Brother Jackson. He's one of us. He was, and understand, see this thing here? They got this one guy here. The day this event happened, they had several men in camouflage. This one guy, when it was live going on, we're watching the news. Me and my son watching this live. When those cops got shot, they reported several guys in camouflage running around the street who did the shooting. Then they got down to one black guy, and they never found the body. So, and if you understand this, before this happened, before this event in Baton Rouge happened, had a similar happening in Dallas where the cop got shot there and he had to put a robot in to go kill some black guy in Dallas who tried they tried to blame for starting a race riot. They're trying to start a race riot.
And then they said, "Oh, he's a sovereign citizen." So this is how they were trying to take this group who believed in pyramids and that we were here before. They try to take that into the sovereign citizen and merge those two things together because. Even like this, so now people will.
No, look, excuse me. Look at this. Remember I told you they try to take all of the things, boogeyman names, and put them together and try to look. It says the group was founded in 1990 by Washington's mother. And it says on here she was frequently in Detroit mixing with a Nation Islam leader. See that? Nation Islam is automatically
and influenced by Black Power movements.
Yeah, and the group includes
her son said though. So that her son said this.
The Empress was back in the turn. The Empress was with Dr. King. The Empress walked with Dr. King and Dr. Joseph Ben Yakinen and John Henry Clark. All of her contemporaries. The Empress was in Georgia walking with she told me she did a walk with Georgia and Lewis back, you know. Somewhere the Empress had always been engaged in the struggle, okay, her whole life. I'm saying she formed a city of her own. She was the mayor of a city. I'll find an article for you, but all you're reading is propaganda. This is propaganda to make us look bad. They got the Nation Islam. I think they do my partner in there. Yassine Bey, Most Def. They try to anybody they can put in there and hurt it and stain them as a dog whistle for something negative American public. This article right here was their dumping the white supremacists separating themselves from the Washita Nation. Up to this point, the white people claim they were Washita too. Now it's going to be bad guys. We the posse comitatus? We the white nationalists? We the sovereign citizens? No, we are a sovereign nation of indigenous people who white folks tried to join and couldn't. They didn't. But the Empress, and once again, the Empress said if they have 1 30-second white indigenous blood, they part of us too. All indigenous people come out of the Washita. Every indigenous tribe in North America, South America, Central America can trace its roots back to the chief people, the Washita people. So Caucasian people came and said, I'm 1/64th Native American. I'm 1/8 Native American. Empress said, we got to set them all, Umar. We can't block none of them out. Now the Empress, no, you cannot do that. So that was me and her having a difference of opinion. But I know that when I came back from Geneva in 1997, and before I left, I'm doing a lot of communication to the state of Louisiana. When I got back, the Empress received a letter from the Secretary of State, or the Secretary of State of Louisiana, saying, "Yes, Empress, we see that you are owed a lot of money, but it's not from my office. But I see you found an office that did owe you money." So when Empress got a letter with the state of Louisiana acknowledged owing us, I don't know, billions or trillions of dollars, that's when that white nationalists lost their freaking mind and took over. That's when I left. I'm not there for the money. So you understand.
So L. Bay, who died 2 years ago, wrote a book on the ancient ones, as they are called, and traveled the country to give speeches promoting the idea that the land sold by France to the United States in 1803 in the Louisiana Purchase was fraudulently obtained and actually belonged to her. The claims have been rebuked by government officials, and in 2000, the FBI raided L. Bay's compound in Louisiana on suspicion of fraud and tax evasion.
Listen, that's not her tax and fraud evasion. All them Caucasian people who had did all that fraud were at her compound hiding. Empress became a refuge for all the white nationalists, all the white sovereign citizens. They all ran there. That's 2000. I was gone in 1997. And when I came back from Geneva, Switzerland in the fall of 97, I was dismissed. They took over.
So Washington said that after the raid, he instructed members to start paying taxes, and the group stopped. So here we go. Illegally issuing items such as Washita Nation's license plate and passports.
So that's not the Washita Nation. That's a group in North Carolina who was a government FBI sting operation in North Carolina issuing out Washita plates.
Right. Here we go. Washington, who moved to Southern California 4 decades ago,
said he group only aimed today to reclaim 1,000 acres of land. So all this talking about the Empress' son, Frederick Washita. All he told me was his inheritance. Okay. He ain't worried about the Washita Nation or government. He want what he think his family is owed, his inheritance. That's what he told me. So understand this guy, Frederick Washington, talking about now, was never part of the Empress government. He had no part of it. He would nothing to do with it, and he didn't want his family involved in it. So you see his daughter's name, Wendy, in there. That's not fair. That's a wonderful woman who had no nothing to do with this here. That's just the government once again, and the white nationalists once again trying to smear her name, smear his name. The same way you take the word ISIS. Word ISIS was the ancient Kemetic name and now it's been smeared, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The name Hannibal has been smeared, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The name Washita has been smeared the same way. Just propaganda is not true.
I remember this whole thing, what they would call it, wars on paper, right?
Yes.
And so
white sovereign movement and Negroes got involved. That's exactly they'll see that white sovereign citizen stuff had nothing to do with the Washita, but they came and hijacked the Washita at some point, and I was gone. So the Washita Washita was their cover. They actually see this Dr. Alim Bey. That's the guy who was publishing stuff, illegal stuff. But I believe he had the permission of the United States government